In 2019, a researcher at Princeton published a study that quietly broke the foundational assumption of personal finance. The study followed thousands of Americans across income levels and measured one simple thing: how happy are you with your financial situation? And the finding was supposed to be reassuring. It confirmed what previous research had shown, that beyond a certain income level, more money stops making you meaningfully happier. The number they landed on was $75,000 a year. Make more than that, the research suggested, and the emotional return on each additional dollar essentially flatlines. Personal finance Twitter had a field day. Hustle culture gurus lost their minds. And then in 2021, a follow-up study using better data and a larger sample came out and basically said the original study was wrong. Happiness does keep increasing with income, even past $75,000, even past $200,000, even further. And everyone breathed a sigh of relief. More money does make you happier. The hustle is justified. Back to grinding. Except both studies missed the actual point entirely, because the question was never whether more money can make you happier. The question is why, for most people, it doesn't. Why a person earning $120,000 a year feels exactly as financially stressed as they did when they were earning $60,000. Why the raise felt incredible for exactly 3 months and then became invisible. Why your friend who just got promoted to a salary you used to dream about is complaining about money at dinner. This is not a math problem. This is a psychology problem. And it has a name. It's called the Hedonic Treadmill. And once you understand how it works, you will never look at a salary negotiation, a promotion, or a purchase the same way again. Here's the mechanism. Humans are remarkably bad at predicting how long emotional experiences will last. We are wired to react intensely to change and then return to a baseline. Good things happen and we feel great. Bad things happen and we feel terrible. And then, within a surprisingly short period of time, both the great and the terrible fade back toward the same neutral middle. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. Your brain registers the new car, the bigger apartment, the salary increase as genuinely exciting for a while. And then it recategorizes them as the new normal. And then it starts looking for the next thing. The treadmill speeds up. You have to run faster just to stay in the same place. And this alone would be manageable. Humans are adaptable. We've always been adaptable. But the hedonic treadmill has a second feature that the research doesn't talk about enough, and it is the one that actually destroys people financially. It's not just that you adapt to what you have. It's that what you compare yourself to also changes. Meet Jake. Jake is 28, earns $65,000 a year, lives in a 1-bedroom apartment, drives a 5-year-old Honda Civic, and goes out to dinner maybe twice a month. Jake is not miserable. Jake is reasonably content. His reference group, the people he mentally compares his lifestyle to, are his friends from college, most of whom are in similar situations. Then Jake gets a big promotion. He's now earning $110,000. For about 4 months, Jake feels genuinely, meaningfully better about his life. He moves into a 2-bedroom apartment. He replaces the Honda with a lease on something newer. He starts going out more. He takes a nicer holiday than he used to. And then something subtle but devastating happens. Jake's reference group changes. He's no longer comparing himself to his college friends. He's comparing himself to his new colleagues at his new level, the people who have been earning $110,000 for 5 years, the ones who already have the apartment, the car, the wardrobe, the holidays, the ones who are talking about buying property. Jake is now earning almost twice what he used to and feels further behind than ever. This is not a character flaw. This is not weakness. This is an almost universal human experience that the financial services industry has zero interest in solving for you because your dissatisfaction is their product. Every luxury brand, every car lease, every property developer, every upgrade, every premium subscription is specifically engineered to exploit the exact gap between where you are and where your reference group appears to be. And as your income rises, so does the sophistication and the price tag of the things targeting that gap. The numbers bear this out in a way that should make everyone deeply uncomfortable. A study tracking American household spending found that for every dollar increase in income, the average household increased its spending by 80 cents within 2 years. Not because they were irresponsible, not because they were bad at math, but because the spending felt entirely justified. The apartment upgrade made sense at the new income level. The car made sense. The nicer restaurants made sense. Each individual decision was completely rational. The cumulative effect was that the gap between income and expenses barely moved at all. And that gap, the actual number left over after the spending catches up to the income, is the only number in personal finance that actually matters. Not your salary, not your title, not the car in your driveway, the gap. Because wealth is not what you earn, wealth is what you don't spend. That sentence sounds obvious. It gets repeated in every personal finance book ever written. And then, almost nobody actually applies it, because applying it requires something psychologically brutal. It requires you to actively resist the adaptation. 2. Intentionally keep your reference group the same even as your income rises. To drive the 5-year-old Honda for another 3 years after the raise. To stay in the 1-bedroom apartment for 1 more year. To let the gap compound instead of spending it. And this is where almost everyone fails. Not because they're stupid, because they're human. Because the entire social architecture of modern life is designed to make you feel that upgrading is the natural, deserved, obvious response to earning more. Because every advertisement, every aspirational social media account, every colleague who just got a new car is a constant, relentless signal that the current level is not enough. The financial industry has a term for the specific version of this that destroys retirement savings. They call it lifestyle creep, which is a polite, though clinical-sounding way of describing the slow, invisible process by which every raise you ever receive gets quietly absorbed into a higher monthly cost of living before you ever had a chance to decide what to do with it. The average American in their 40s has less than $100,000 saved for retirement, not because they never earned enough, because every time they earned more, they spent more, and the spending felt completely justified every single time. There is a version of this story that ends differently, and it does not require you to live like a monk or deprive yourself of everything. It just requires one habit that sounds almost embarrassingly simple. When income goes up, savings rate goes up first, before the apartment upgrade, before the car, before the nicer holidays. The gap gets wider deliberately, intentionally, and automatically. And then, with whatever is left, the lifestyle upgrade happens. Slower than it could, less dramatic than the colleagues expect, completely invisible to the algorithm that was counting on you to spend it. Because here is the thing about the hedonic treadmill. You cannot get off it. The adaptation is going to happen regardless of what you decide. The new apartment will become normal. The new salary will become the baseline. The upgrade you are planning right now will feel ordinary in 6 months. The only question is whether the thing that becomes normal is a higher lifestyle or a higher savings rate. And one of those two things buys you options. The other one buys you the feeling of options for about 4 months. So I want to hear where you land on this. Do you think A, lifestyle inflation is unavoidable and the system is designed to make saving basically impossible regardless of income? B, it's a discipline problem and the people who struggle with it just need better habits? Or C, the real issue is the comparison culture and social media has made the treadmill faster than any previous generation has had to deal with? Drop it in the comments because based on what I've seen, this one is genuinely going to split people.